So my name's Kelly Zmak. I've been the executive producer on the title since its inception. Wanted Dead is a retro hack and slash with a shooting element, but we don't recommend that anyone approach it as a shooter. It has levels of difficulty that are intentionally hard, at times bloodborne hard, and we're real proud with what we've got.
This is the kind of stuff I grew up on. This is my kind of game, like hack and slash, action, dystopian future. Like it's checking all the boxes for me here.
So the original idea came from our CEO, creative director, and he created this game really as a love letter to the comics, games, and movies of the 80s and 90s. It's influenced with Tarantino. You see a lot of Kill Bill, obviously a lot of modern, John Wick influences in the game. So there's a lot of Ninja Gaiden. There's a lot of elements of the game that just kind of fall into these classic realms.
Yeah, now you bring up Ninja Gaiden, and that is infamous for being an extremely difficult game. And from what I've seen and played, you guys are definitely trying to hype up the challenge here.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely a challenging game. We have 3 regular modes. The first mode is the normal, which I call hard. The second mode is hard, which I call stupid. And the third part is Japanese hard, which is just insane. So we really give the player a chance. But we do, and we have introduced a fourth difficulty level. If the player is really struggling, they'll be able to give it an opportunity to have all of the stats kind of lowered and give them an opportunity to get into the game without necessarily that level of brutal difficulty.
Nice. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the story behind the game, like who you are and what you're doing and how you're doing it?
Yeah, so your primary protagonist is Stone. And so she is a war criminal. And in that experience, she's basically been released from prison to work with the zombie squad as an enforcement group inside Hong Kong, working for the Hong Kong police. The Hong Kong police are largely controlled by a corporate entity, and there is an event that occurs that draws her into a huge conspiracy that slowly is revealed to the player throughout the game.
Nice. And you are also just welding a katana throughout the whole thing, right?
Yeah, so she's very proficient. We don't know a lot about her backstory. We don't know how she got here until really towards the end of the game. And we start to realize that her lifetime experiences are actually very closely tied to the world that she's embroiled in right now. So the katana is really her expression of how she addresses her anger and the frustrations of some of the things that she's gone through. And part of that is told in unique storytelling ways, including anime for memory flashbacks.
Nice. The other thing I noticed, like right off the bat, is the combat is extremely visceral. I was cutting off people's arms. At one point, I chopped a guy in half, and like this, there's blood splurting out like the other half of his torso. I was just like, oh, that's brutal.
We tried to actually go over the top. It's so over the top, we actually hope that people will see it for what it is, which is almost a comical expression of this animation and this expression of violence, right? We try to balance the violence in the game with some of the humorous elements and the dialogue, as well as some of the mini games and the opportunity to explore. So we recognize that the entire game is just a series of contrasts, and through that contrast, we really think that we've created a visceral experience that the players kind of put their head around. I think the real challenge is if you watch it, it's one experience. If you play it, it's another. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then another thing, I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I was hearing all about these insane mini games that you have built into it.
So what we did is we have a series of mini games. One is actually just a gun range where you can master your headshots, do your ammo weapon management, play with all of the various weapons that are available to the player. We've got rhythm games in the game, so we're able to pull a lot of that in, and we have a 16-bit side-scroller that actually takes about 5 hours to complete, embedded in the game. So we have all of these available toys for the player to play with when they're not actually out doing this.
That's awesome, because I always get, every time I see like an arcade game or something like that in a video game, I'm always like, why can't I play this? It like makes me mad. So I appreciate that you guys are doing this. It's very Shakespearean of you too to put a game within a game.
Well, it's kind of an accident. So we had asked them to build one small level of a 16-bit side-scroller, and the engineer kind of took off with it and created 7 levels over about 5 hours. So it was, for us, it was a great surprise to have it, even though it wasn't really what we thought or intended for the beginning.
Nice. That's super cool. That's like a very cool thing. And you also have folks with quite a bit of experience in making challenging action games as well, right? Like you have a few folks from Team Ninja that are working on Wanted Dead as well, right?
Yeah, the team out in Japan, Soleil, is an amazing developer with a really close focus on melee combat. And a lot of the elements we're seeing here from the teams, their background and history is all in this category. So the Ninja Gaiden guys, certainly the Devil's Third, a lot of elements that come from historical gameplay that they've obviously been involved in personally, but also kind of submerged in culturally. So it played very well for them to be the developer of this product.
Nice. One thing that we were also talking about before the interview was the fact that you are trying to ship a finished product here, like no day one patches, nothing like that, which, you know, that's how we used to get games, and nowadays it's very unheard of. So it almost as much as it used to happen back then, it almost sounds like an arduous task nowadays.
Yeah, one of the things we're really trying to do is give the consumer an experience. I find it remarkably frustrating when I put the disc in or I download the game and I have to update my system, right? I have to wait to play the game. So when we're looking at the quality of the product, what we would really like to believe is that we're going into final without bugs. We don't believe we should be planning for a day one patch. I'd like to say it's never going to happen, but we all know that's not. You know, the realities of development is hard, right? Everything in development starts at hard, and our job is to keep it from going to stupid. And so, you know, we try to make the best of it. And this particular team is very keenly aware of those quality requirements. So that's what we're trying to do to avoid that event.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, I look at this game and like I see narrative elements from like RoboCop and like Die Hard, because you're going through a building, like a corporate building and stuff like that, you know. Sort of the hyper violence of those movies that was more on the RoboCop side of things. And then I also see elements of a lot of games that I was playing back during that like PS1, PS2 era as well.
And there are inspirations from that entire era that have been rolled into the game. Some of them are obvious, some of them are hidden, some of them are subtle, and some of them are in your face. And I think it's a nice combination of those things that create an eclectic experience for the player, but they're actually connected by some very cool dots that the player starts to realize. There are several moments in the game where the player goes, oh, shit. I mean, it's like a nice surprise when they start to see how that storyline came together, even if they're not playing the game for the story, but playing for the gameplay. We've been pleasantly surprised with how engaging the cutscenes and the story are to the audience.
That's awesome, yeah, and it definitely seems like you are building a world here, and you know, the more of a world you can build that's unique, the more immersed players seem to get in it.
We are. What we know and what we've intentionally done is that when the player's done playing the game, they're going to have more questions than they have answers. We're going to work with the social media world. We're going to work with the outside media opportunities in order to fill those blanks in. So 110i is really an international media company, IP creation house. And so, you know, when you think of comics and you think of TV and you think of movies and you think of opportunities, expansions, all of those come into play when we try to create and tell a story. But we're not interested in necessarily a clean story that starts and finishes in one product.
Very cool. Yeah, this seems like a very ambitious new franchise, and I'm definitely want to see more now that I've had a chance to play it. What do you have, like a release window or anything like that? Will this be getting like early access? Well, it probably won't be getting early access because it's done when it's done. So I should just scratch that. So do you have a release window at this point?
So we are going to ship on February 14th, 2023. It is that love letter to those, you know, past games. For the press, what we're planning on doing is we're going to use Steam keys. We're going to give the opportunity for the press to get access to not just the finished game, but also to a special version that allow them to get through the game and see more of our product, see more of the presentation of our product. And so that timing is still up for debate. We're trying to make sure that it's the right amount of time. It's also trying to make sure that we've got the right product for that to take place, right? Because I got to pull team out of the development process, or I can wait until the process is done and then pull them out.
Nice. So February 14th, cancel my dinner reservations. call in sick to date night and play some Wanted Dead.
Absolutely. Get the roses on the 13th, because 14th you're going to be busy.
All right. It's like the Bon Jovi song without the You're Alive part. Maybe you guys could maybe license it and just cut out the last little part of the lyric there.
There you go. So the other part about the game is we've got some amazing music in the product, just some amazing artists that were involved in the creation. So there's a little bit of everything in this game, and we think each one of those little things is actually enough, but we actually hope that people will embrace all of it.
All right. Gonna save the Bon Jovi reveal for closer to launch.
There you go. There you go.
All right, cool. In the meantime, if folks want to keep up with Wanted Dead and development process and everything you guys are up to, where should folks go?
WantedDeadGame.com. That will connect you to all of our social sites and our Discord server.